And I thought on Sukkot, a nice interesting way to look at the story of Nachum Ish Gamzu. You guys heard of Nachum Ish Gamzu? Nachum Ish Gamzu was one of the rabbis of Rabbi Akiva. Amash, he was Chassidut before Chassidut came to the world. The way he thought about life, everything is for the good, everything is for the good. Now many people think that Chassidut was anti-Musar, anti-Din, anti-judgment, as we heard today, obviously from the Baal Shem Tov and others. It's completely distortions of the truth. Even if you just see the Talmidim of the Baal Shem Tov, like Rabbi HaMelech Milizhinsk and Rabbi Zusha, not all of their stories are, easy to hear. Like for example, Rabbi HaMelech Milizhinsk, everybody knew that he had a burnt hand. Small, he had a hand that had a glove on it, because the whole hand was burnt to a crisp. You know who burned it? He did. He burned it himself. On purpose. Why did Rabbi HaMelech Milizhinsk burn his hand on purpose? Because through his avodat Hashem, he got to such a high level that he saw that his neshama has a mark on it. Tiny little mark on it. What's the mark? When he was 3 years old, he was playing with his ima and he hit her. Playing with her, little baby, hits his mom, stam shtiyot. He didn't hit her like, knocked her out. He was 3 years old. What can you possibly do? You're 3 years old. But he hit his mom. Now, even though he's 3 years old, and even though he's not obligated to mitzvot, and even though it's his mom, and even though it's just playing, and even though, then the Shabbat still gets a stain. It's a stain, tiny stain. It's not a stain of Chilul Shabbat. It's not a stain of beating up on your parents, really. But there's still a stain. Okay, you didn't mean to spill the whole thing, but even though it's spilled, there's a little drop fell on your shirt. And when your shirt is really, really white, even though it's a tiny little stain, you can see it more. You can see it. He got to such a level, said there's a stain. Simply, neshama has a stain, it's intolerable. How do you fix the stain? You have to burn it. No way am I going to the next world and burning anything. Took his hand that made this stain and burned the hand to a crisp. Do not try this at home. You're not Rabbi HaMelech Milizhinsk. But that hand became the hand of miracles. Where literally there was open miracles with this hand. One couple had a young daughter that had a growth problem. She couldn't grow. She was little. Even though she was already 15, 16 years old, she still was the size of a baby. Tried this, that, nothing helped. Said, go to the tzaddik, Rabbi HaMelech Milizhinsk. It's one of the Talmidim of the Magid Mimezrich, who was the Talmid of the Baal Shem Tov. Go to him. So they go, and they get to his house, and they wait. And while they wait, they put the little girl on the bed. Whose bed? Rabbi HaMelech, his bed. Rabbi HaMelech comes. It's a tiny little house, so it's not like there's like a room, there's a kitchen, there's a bathroom. It's just a tiny little, that's the house. The whole house is the bed and the door practically. So he gets into the house, he sees there's people in the house, and he sees a little girl. He says, Chutzpanit, get up. Get off my bed. Now the girl was also not able to move. She was like paralyzed because of the growth issue. She wasn't able to like get up and stuff. But from the fear of his voice, of his kedusha, suddenly this baby that's really like a teenager, got the strength to roll over the bed. And the parents started crying to him. Said, no, for the Rav, you have to understand, she's this, she's that. Oh, okay. So what do you want? We want a blessing. What do you want the blessing to do? They said we want it to grow. So he puts his hand over the girl. He says, stand up. And the girl stood up. And he puts his hand over the girl. He says, how big do you want it to be? And he raises his hand, and she gets bigger. Like this? No, more. Like this, and she keeps growing. Like this, like this, like this. He made a teenager. There you go. Okay, which hand? The hand that burnt to a crisp. The hand that he couldn't function with. The miracles he could do. Miracles he could do. Now, Nachum Ish Gamzu, that preceded Rabbi HaMelech by probably over 1,500 years, he was known as Nachum Ish Gamzu because he said everything is for the good. Meaning that there's no such thing as bad. No such thing as bad. So in a story like Rabbi HaMelech, where a 3-year-old made a dent on the soul, it could be viewed as us. Yeah, this is ridiculous. He's 3 years old. Why are you judging him so heavily? He's 3 years old. He's not judging him. Hashem's not judging him. It's just that there's a certain action, a certain reaction. There's a cause, there's an effect. But surely it's good. How could it be good? I just showed you a story, an example of how it's good. Had that whole thing didn't happen with the hand, with the baby, the 3-year-old, he wouldn't have been able to save another baby and countless other babies and people and so on. So surely HaKadosh Baruch Hu does all of the accounting that's beyond our comprehension of how he makes everything that looks terrible at first beautiful at last. Now, Nachum Ish Gamzu already knew this and would always say everything is for the good. Meaning there is no such thing as bad. It's only bad because you don't know what's going on. It's only bad from your perspective, not from the perspective of heaven. From perspective of heaven, for sure it's the best. Now what about a better option? You said they died. How could dying be good? Going alive better? No. Why isn't alive better? Because based on all of the issues that are related to this person, had he not died, being alive would have been a worse outcome for him than being dead. Because you have to calculate everything. So Nachum Ish Gamzu, one day they tell him, listen, we have a problem. One of the emperors passed a decree, said that we have to make major changes. We're not allowed to keep Torah, mitzvot, and so on, but we want to bribe him. And we want to send him a lot of money, a lot of jewels. But the journey over there is very dangerous. And since you are used to miracles, why don't you go to him and take it yourself? So Nachum Ish Gamzu takes all these jewels in a chest and travels. As he gets right outside of the city, he stays at some inn in order to go to the castle first thing in the morning. At night, the two owners of the inn, both of them are thieves, crooked, Reshaim. They break into the chest of Nachum Ish Gamzu. They see there's a lot of jewels. Their dream come true. They take the jewels and they fill it up with sand instead. No consideration whatsoever to the fact that once he brings this to the Caesar, he's going to get murdered in cold blood. No care in the world. Why? Because the Reshaim, all they care about is what's in front of them, to fulfill their own desires. That's why the Chachamim say you're not allowed to have mercy on Reshaim. If he doesn't have mercy on himself, you're not allowed to have mercy on him. So now, Nachum Ish Gamzu wakes up in the morning, opens the treasure chest, and sees the sand. You and me, we open the treasure chest, we see sand, what do? Go home. Leave the treasure chest there and leave. What are we going to do with sand? The best case scenario, if you're really righteous, you go to the Caesar without anything. So listen, Your Highness, I came here, but somebody stole it. Here's the treasure chest to show you. It's empty, but really somebody stole it from me. I'm sorry, That's the, if you really have guts. Most of the time, she said, listen, I lost everything. I'm going back home. Why? Because the emperor doesn't know that you're coming. It's like he's waiting for you. He's got you an appointment on his Outlook and his Google calendar. Oh, Yaron is coming on Tuesday at 3 o'clock. He doesn't know you're coming. So, you don't show up. It's no big deal. No loss. Now, the mentality of Nachum Ish Gamzu can teach us a lot. Why? He sees it's sand. He closes the treasure chest. Yalla, we're going to the king. What do you mean you're going to the king? You're going to bring that with you? Of course. Why? Because that's what I was given to give. No. You were given a chest full of jewels. That's a chest full of sand. Sure, but that's the best. How could this be the best? Because God gave it to me. No, God gave me the jewels. No, the people gave me the jewels. God gave me the sand. How could this be good? He gets to the castle, he gets to the king, he gives him the chest full of sand. Initially the king wants to kill him, until Eliyahu Navi appears as one of the soldiers and says, no, Your Highness, these Jews, they're related, their forefathers Avraham Avinu. And Avraham, he fought against 4 nations at once and he beat them because he had special sand. Maybe this is the same type of sand as their forefather. He said, okay, let's go test it. The king goes outside, takes some of the sand, throws it in the air, all of it turns into spears, shooting at the enemy. He says, this is the greatest present anybody can ever give me. Go give him, in return, a chest full of diamonds. I don't need diamonds anymore. I just need the sand. Nachum Ish Gamzu says this too is for the good, goes back to the same inn. Now, me and you, we went to the first inn, they robbed us. We survived to tell the story, miraculously, because somehow Hashem turned all the sand into spears. So we survived to tell the story. Now we go home. We're going to go back to the same inn, to the people that just robbed us, and put our life in danger? No, a person doesn't. But Nachum Ish Gamzu goes back to the same place. What's the logic? They didn't do anything to me. What do you mean they didn't do anything to me? They robbed you. No, Hashem gave me a gift through them. They see it. They say, how are you still alive? He says, tell them the story. They say, wow, what a great idea. They fill up a bunch of buckets full of sand. They go to the king and the king hangs both of them. Question is, how could somebody understand such a story and apply it to their life? Very simple. When Nachum Ish Gamzu said, this too is for the good, unlike most people, he actually meant it. He really said, this is for the good. What does it mean, this is for the good? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is the ultimate good, who only is good, in order to express his goodness, because good is something that creates good, he created me. Not because he needs me, but rather because good creates good. Why did he create me? In order to give me good. In order to express his goodness again. Thereby, the only reason why he created me was in order to give me good. Therefore, If He created me only to give me good, then surely whatever He's giving me, out of all of the infinite options that He has, is the best possible choice that can be. Why? Because He is the ultimate good. He only created me to give me good. He also has an infinite amount of options of good to give me, that I can view sometimes as bad, I can view sometimes as good. But He has all of the options, and He knows all of the outcomes of all of the different options. And since He is the ultimate good, and He only created me as good, to give me good, and He has all of the options to give me good, and yet He chose this one to give me, and to me it looks horrible, that's because I am lacking in faith in Hashem, I am lacking in bitachon in Hashem, I am lacking in fear of Hashem, I am lacking in trust in Hashem, I am lacking in love of Hashem, I'm lacking in everything. In so many words, I'm spiritually retarded. That's why I look at it as bad. If I was spiritually elevated, and I cleaved to Hashem, and I really had emunah in Hashem, and I really had bitachon in Hashem, and I really feared Hashem, and I really loved Hashem, any one of those things would have simply been enough to make me realize, surely this is good. But it looks bad only to a person that doesn't believe in God, but only believes in themselves. Because if you believe in the same God of Nachumish Gamzu, that is the ultimate good, that only created you for good, and it can give you everything that He possibly wants, and still chose to give you this because this is the ultimate good, then how are you complaining? You only see it as bad because you have a narrow perspective. Now, it's perfectly natural to say, this doesn't look good. If you say everything looks great, you'd simply be Nachumish Gamzu, or David HaMelech, or some other tzaddik that would probably be giving the shiur instead of me. But the reality is, no one is expecting you to say everything is good. You could say, this looks bad. But the lesson to be learned is that it looks bad, but that's because I'm lacking. It must be good. How? I don't know yet. Hashem give me the clarity to see why this, out of all of the other possibilities that the Yetzer Hara is putting in my head now, that could have been a possibility, why your option is the best. Give me the clarity. Nachumish Gamzu saw that there's sand. Sand, everybody could say, listen, sand is less valuable than the jewels that he had. Yes, if you have simple logic, rationality, you're 100% right. If you live within the natural and nothing supernatural, you're 100% right. But either way, you're going to die. But if you live in the world of Nachumish Gamzu, the world of the tzaddikim, and say, listen, Hashem gave me jewels, then He gave me sand to replace those jewels. Surely Hashem knows what He's doing. If He's replacing the sand with the jewels, He wouldn't allow these people to steal from me if stealing from me wasn't the best thing for me. All of the other options that are in my head were not real options. Why? They weren't available to me. What about the option of not stealing? The option of not stealing was not an available option. Maybe available to somebody else that's not here. Maybe it's available to somebody else that doesn't have a certain meeting with a certain person. Maybe it's available to somebody else that doesn't deserve it. But to me, according to all of my actions, my world, the ecosystem that's around me, that's comprised of my actions, the option of not being robbed was not available. There were other options available to me, and out of all of those options, this was the best one. Nachum Ish Gamzu understood that out of all of the options that you could possibly have, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts in your hand is not just good, it's the best. And that's what Rabbi Akiva, his Talmid, extrapolated from it. That everything that the merciful one does is always the best. Not just good, it's the best. So why is he calling him merciful one? He's merciful because, number one, he's constantly giving us good even though we're not appreciative of it, and even though we don't trust him to give us the good. And even more so, he's patient enough to allow us the time to finally get to a point of really having trust in him, really have emunah in him, that whatever he did give us is really the best. But that trust has a certain clock on it. You can't say, listen, I'll have emunah in Hashem after I die. It's not going to help you. A person needs to understand the job that you have is now. Whatever you can do, now. The circumstances that you're saying are stopping you, most of the time, it's Yetzirah. Because if you have something that you can do in order to serve Hashem, and there is no real barriers to entry, you can do it, all the excuses in the world are not going to help you. How you grew up, if you're black, if you're white, if you're green, if you're burgundy, if you're tall, if you're short, if you're male or you're female, none of that stuff is really going to matter. Why? You have to simply exert the best effort you can. Your best effort. Success in the hands of Hashem. If it's the best thing for you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to make it succeed. If it's not, they'll make it fail. Simple. But you have to do your share. And just like you exert the best you possibly can in order to earn a living, in order to do this, in order to do that, also do it in order to serve Hashem. When you have that kind of mentality, the issues of the world that most people have, that's lack of emunah, lack of bitachon, lack of this, lack of that, they're not your problems anymore. Your problem is, how can I perfect myself enough to avoid Kaf HaKela, to avoid Gehinnom, to make sure my family is also good, to make sure my friends are good, my community is good. How do I do that? Why? Because you have an understanding of who runs the world, what's your job in the world, which turns you into what? To what Rav Shloveitchik said in the beginning of this shiur. Deisha emunah. You know your mission in the world. Once you know your mission in the world, okay, so how do I perfect it now? How do I get everybody else to do it? But you can't worry so much about the whole world until you start working on yourself. And even the issues of Kaf HaKela and Gehinnom and so on, all those different things, those are in essence supposed to inspire you to move, to do something about everything. And not just stay the same, Chas v'shalom, not stay wicked. Do something. If a person does these things on a regular basis, little by little, they become a source of inspiration for the people around them. And little by little, they could make major headway. And then they will see, that's why Hashem made me black. That's why Hashem made me tall. That's why Hashem made me a woman. That's why Hashem made me a Jew. That's why Hashem made me a non-Jew. That's why Hashem made me this. That's why Hashem made me that. Now I understand. Had I not been such and such, all of these other things would have not happened. All of these things would have not happened. How did this not happen? All of these other things wouldn't have happened. Now tell you the truth. Would any of you have ever come to my shiur if I was some little Hasidish guy that grew up in some yeshiva system and said, guys, I have a nice story for you about the such and such Rebbe? Truth is, no. Why? There's a lot of those. But the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put me through my own real life roller coaster made it an experience that a lot of people could benefit from. Made it an experience that a lot of people could learn from. Made it an experience a lot of people could connect to and relate to and apply in their own life. And also made me a certain type of personality that can communicate certain things that perhaps other people can't. There are certain things that I talk about freely, like it doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form, whereas other people, 2 words and they're already... It's just the way it is. Certain people have this, certain people have that. Certain people have a certain skin for that, certain people have skin for that. So the key is to understand is that, at first, you may not understand why the test that you have is the test that you have. But don't ever get to a point of questioning Hashem. Why? That gets you into Kaf HaKela. That scary place we talked about for an hour and a half. Hashem, I have no idea why you're doing what you're doing. But surely you know what you're doing. So I love you. Thank you. And the fact that it hurts, if you can make it not hurt, it'll also be good. But that's the best thing for me, that's the best thing for me. That's the best thing for me, that's the best thing for me. Rabotai Karim, that's the only way to live life with a mindset that is not going to be glued to the worries that everybody around you has. Everybody else around you is worried about what? The problems that they have that were caused by their own limitations. Not limitation of ability, limitation of emunah, limitation of bitachon Hashem, limitation of fear of Hashem, limitation of connection to Hashem. That's where all their problems